All right, so let's unpack the President's response to the SONA debate, his media briefing, and also, of course, the response from the Standing Committee on Public Accounts to the leaked audio of the President speaking at that ANC NEC meeting last year, as well as the President's letter explaining it all. We're joined by political analyst Professor Levy Ndou. Prof, thank you so much. Gosh, there's so much to tackle, but let's start with the most recent stuff, and that is the meeting underway with the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. They asked for a written response from the President on that leaked audio. They got it. He said, in a nutshell, that if you look at the broader context of what he was trying to say, he was referring to information already in the public domain that have come to light through the state capture inquiry, the high-level panel review into the State Security Agency in 2019, and he has no specific information to give the committee. I know you've heard the audio, I know you've read the President's response, and we've seen early responses from Scopa that members don't feel that the response is adequate, the written response is adequate. What is your view?
Good evening to you. Good evening to the viewers at home. I think what is very important is that Scopa would not just leave the matter as it is, because this matter has been reported to Scopa for them to act upon. And I think Scopa also took the right decision by wanting to get a legal opinion so that whatever they do should actually follow the legal framework, and they should not be seen to be doing anything that is against the law. I think what the President has tried to do in presenting his response is to say, I am not giving you the details, but what I'm trying to say to you is that there is information that is available in the public domain, which I also agree it is true. There is information in the public domain which talks to the abuse of states' funds by the ruling party, the ANC, in a number of activities of the ruling party. And that has been presented in a number of press information and in a number of forums. But I think it will also be important for Scopa to go deeper, in the sense that most of the issues or the perception created, it appears as if President Ramaphosa might be having some inner information which he might be able to assist as he provides to the entire population. But also at the same time, the information is available in the public domain, but if indeed there is more other information that is required, the President will have to do so. But I am a believer in openness, transparency, and accountability. But I think also at the same time, even though our Parliament has actually vowed to ensure that they do a number of things very openly and in a transparent manner, I think there is some information that should be classified to a certain extent and then be taken out to the public at a given time.
And a lot of this points to what the State Security Agency did or didn't do, specifically around the NASREC ANC elective conference, which of course brings us to Ketla Sitole, who the court found refused to cooperate with IPID, police's watchdog, in sharing information about these grabber devices, and the allegation, of course, is that that money was being used to fund money to the party through the SSA. And it comes at such an interesting time because the President has stalled on suspending the police commissioner. It's clear there's no love lost between the police commissioner and the minister, just what we saw in the SONA debate with the police minister accusing the commissioner of conspiring with the EFF leader to get him out, then having to retract it, something that Ketla Sitole denies. I mean, it's such a confluence of information. Surely the President, as a matter of urgency, has to act on what's going on between the police minister and the police commissioner, only saying to journalists this afternoon that it concerns him and he's paying attention to it.
I think as he speaks to the journalists today and as he responds to the SONA debate, what came into my mind, and I know that is what came in the minds of a lot of people, has been the question that says, when are you going to act, Mr. President? Especially when we all know that the sour relationship between the minister and the commissioner is not doing any good for the South Africans. The lack of action on the part of the president in terms of dealing with a range of issues that requires his action, it should be another area of concern. And I want to take to what most political parties were saying in Parliament. All the issues that they raised, apart from the insults as he indicated, are issues that are actually being raised by ordinary citizens in South Africa, who are saying, Mr. President, it appears as if in South Africa we're not safe. And you know that there are certain people who are actually not doing the work as required. But unfortunately, what happens is that the president will take time to act on such issues. South Africans are saying, and I'm happy he says he does not sleep, especially when it comes to the economy of South Africa. I think South Africans are also saying at the same time that, Mr. President, come up with much better programs that will ensure that indeed the economy is resuscitated and it is able to create jobs. Yes, we agree that the South African government has been commended for how they actually dealt with COVID-19 and the extent in which they went in saving lives. To use the same programs, the approach that we used in the fight against COVID-19 in order to deal with other challenges facing South Africa.
Prof, do you think that the president is considering his cabinet? We know that the DA is filing a motion of no confidence in the cabinet, not in the president. That's what the ATM is wanting to do. But do you think that we're seeing signs of a cabinet under pressure? The police minister's outburst during the SONA debate, also the communications minister at the end of her speech on spectrum auctioning, she had this sort of outburst where she said, I don't care about the allegations against me, I'm not involved in state capture. Are we heading for a big change in cabinet? Do you think that it's all going to come to a head, or do you think yet again we're going to see the president delaying?
I think the president is quite under pressure as we speak now, not only because of the opposition and not only because of a number of other things that happened, but the pressure comes from the people that is actually appointed. When the DA came with a proposal of saying that they want to push a motion against the entire cabinet, it's a clear indication that something is actually not right with the people that President Ramaphosa has actually appointed. And one would have expected the president to have acted long time ago. I know that President Ramaphosa might be saying, I want to wait for the finalization of the state capture report so that I don't have to cut and chop the cabinet at any given time. But I think also at the same time, there are a number of people that are serving in his cabinet that are compromising the functioning of his administration. I know that he's aware of that. But I think what the president has to do at this stage is to consider South Africans first and say, I can still even compromise those that are very close to me in the interest of saving South Africa. If he does not act on some of his ministers now, we are actually heading for a disaster in South Africa.
Well, thank you very much. I think really the president has much more than the economy keeping him up at night. So much to consider. Thank you so much for your views this evening. Political analyst Professor Levy Ndou. Now,